Eu tô aqui com um dos melhores vendedores do mundo. Se você não conhece ele, você conhece o livro dele, talvez, Predictable Revenue, que é a receita previsível, que é basicamente a bíblia de vendas.
AI is not free magic. Just don't know exactly the cost yet beyond money. I mean, I think people who saying that the SDR job will die, I don't think that's wrong. That's totally wrong. The same thing will happen with AI, right? Oh, we save all this time. More bullshit.
Mas agora eu quero ver o que mudou. Por conta da IA tá mudando. Primeiramente, Aaron, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, Max.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. Of course, huge fan. Like your book, like I was mentioning here in Portuguese, is kind of like the Bible, like the sales Bible. Like everybody that sells B2B knows it or should at least know and do it. But now I want to understand what's changing, right? And
besides everything.
And
nothing, actually. Everything and nothing.
Okay, so we can start there. Like, what's not changing?
I'm trying to think about where to start. So, I'm old enough now. I'm 54, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been through, multiple technology revolutions, right? So, I grew up without the internet, right? With VHS recorders. So there was the internet was one of them. And then there was, say, mobile phone, another. And then what do you call social media? So at least two major technology changes.
Yeah.
And so I've seen what happens where you have this promise of the dream of like, oh, everything's going to be easier and everybody's going to have more time, make more money, and the magic versus the reality where a lot of things get better and a lot of things get worse.
Yeah.
And so it's a bit tricky to get off the hamster wheel, right? Because again, back when you were writing letters by hand, and if someone said, rather than waiting, taking a while to write by hand and then you mail it and it takes days to get there, what if you could just send an electronic message? Like that'd be so much easier, right? You'd save so much time. Now we have email and how much time do you think you spend on email or WhatsApp, all the messages today, right? It's like, oh my God. So the same thing will happen with AI, right? Oh, we save all this time. More bullshit will be created to take up that, unless as a person or a team or a company, you're very intentional. You can't totally avoid it, but it's really hard to escape being human. And the fact where when something gets cheaper and faster, we don't save time, we just do more of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's one of these things where we can all see a lot of the benefits of AI and some can feel them. Like I feel I get amazing benefits out of AI. A lot of people don't.
Yeah.
I think we're just going to start seeing the cost of it, the dark side of it over the next, this year, the next few years.
And what specifically do you think that would be like if you were to pinpoint one?
Well, here's one that people are just starting to notice. And it might be too early to say if this is a problem or not.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to happen. I've talked to a bunch of sales VPs, whether like big companies or small, and they say, and this is, I think, independent, or at least I mentioned, but salespeople, now we have all the meeting takers and the transcription and the notes and so on. And they're noticing that the salespeople, and this is, more complex sales or B2B, it's not like the really simple transaction, but they're talking to the clients, but they're not really present.
They're not listening.
And they're not really taking in, the details and like there's something about when you talk to a client and you really know them, you build a relationship and you become more of an expert with them and you really kind of know them and their business. And when you can turn your brain off, because you're like, I don't really have to remember. They don't consciously think this, but because they don't have to remember, pay attention, and because the note taker will do that, they're just kind of there. They're not really focused on again being present and kind of tuning in, really to tune in. So it's the thing is a lot of these AI problems for now they're going to be kind of like fuzzy problems. They're like I think there's something wrong, but I can't say exactly what it is. And sometime later in a year or 2 or 3 years, we'll start having, this is a general prediction, more easily observable problem. We're like, oh, okay, maybe our sales cycles are longer, or we're having more attrition in the sales team, or there's other struggles. And like what happened, the term is kind of the frog got boiled, right? This term where
it's
warm water.
Analogy, yeah.
So there'll be a lot of that. I mean, like,
could you just explain the analogy?
Yeah. So it comes from, I actually don't know if this is true. I'm not going to test it. But if a frog is sitting in, water and you slowly turn the temperature up, right? And it gets, from cold to warm. At some point, it gets so hot that the frog dies because it never really noticed. Right? It's such a slow change.
Yeah.
There wasn't that it didn't notice and it died. So there'll be a lot of that in different areas of AI. Look, you can't avoid it. Like you can't, advance in a lot of places and use, it is in some ways magic without having a cost. That's true with phones. It's true with, emails. It's true with everything.
Yeah.
Right? This is not a new idea. But I do like to say you can be excited about this, but AI is not free magic.
I agree.
We just don't know exactly the cost yet beyond money.
Yeah, but you mentioned like a good cost, and that's 100% true.
Good.
Right? And you said that you're already seeing benefits yourself.
Yeah. The thing is, for me, like I use AI. I don't think I use it like a lot of other some people. Like I had a tech CEO I'm working on a different book with. I have a lot of books I'm working on now. One of the benefits of AI say that only 1% of people use it like me, which all he's saying is he hasn't seen it that much. But mostly what I use it for is just almost pure creative, like a creative part.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, because I don't really use that much to like automate and some drafting and some like intern work, right?
Yeah.
But for me, what it was I could have all these kind of weird, like random ideas in the back of my head. Where in the past, it would have been too much work to do anything with it.
Yeah.
And I don't have an example now, but, it could be, so years ago, I was like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to do a deck of tarot cards, like angel cards, but more like business lessons or sales lessons.
Okay.
Like, it's just kind of like a cartoon, like a good format to, I just thought it'd be cool, honestly. There wasn't
interesting.
And if I'm not going to sit down and try to do that, I just wasn't ready.
Yeah.
But now with AI, and there's so fast forward a few years, I'm talking with a friend about, somehow it comes up like, oh, I had this idea for funny tarot cards. I'll give you an example, like for me, because I want it to be kind of weird or funny, like life lessons, right?
Yeah.
One was called like Quantum Swamp, because life is so confusing and sometimes you feel like you're moving through molasses, or one was like explosive diarrhea, explosive purges, not just actual physical, but sometimes when you have a relationship or there's like a business and someone just needs to like, just let it out.
Yeah.
But funny, I was trying to aim for like funny ones and have a good time. And it's like, oh crap, I can use, this time ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Because the imaging had got better to come up with the card ideas and then come up with images. And I drafted these cards. So that, or like coffee brands. I was like, my wife was like, you should do some coffee brands. And I just had fun coming up with different kinds of coffee brands and just designing them. And again, it's like, wasn't to do a project. It's like, this would be a cool idea.
Yeah.
Kind of with music and with some other things. At the same time, so that's kind of like the, again, the fun, cool projects to me that are cool, which actually over time, my belief is, and I'm going to be right about this, is that if I have fun making these things, and I think they're really cool. And I'm not trying to make them about money or anything, but I'm like, oh, would they be cool? If I keep evolving them, then other people will think they're cool too.
Yeah.
And that will lead to whatever, like new relationships or conversations or business, and so on. That will happen. And in fact, at a conference a couple of days ago, I had a pack of these cards. I call them banana peel wisdom cards. Again, I just think they're funny.
Yeah.
And my team was like, oh, these are cool. And they used them as conversation starters with people at the conference.
That's awesome.
Basically,
do you have one here?
We have someplace. We have some. Yeah, I don't have them in hand.
Oh.
But they became, walk up. You could a cold open. You don't know them, and you could start a conversation because you've never seen them before.
Yeah.
And they don't exist anywhere else in the world. And some are pretty funny, but it's kind of this like, hey, these are magic cards. Pick a card, and they pick it, and it's like a conversation.
That's awesome.
So,
I love that.
Yeah. So that's one area. And another area is for book ideas. It makes it easier. So this is kind of like the benefit and cost.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier now for me to have a bunch of ideas for books. I'm like, oh, that'd be a cool book to write. So I'm doing one called Phantom Revenue with Tiago. There's a new one called Predictable Income that just came out. Most of these are in early stages. There's a book called Eat, Shit, and Grow. The title will change about, having a big, we have 10 kids, a big family. How do you support a big family financially, emotionally? There's another one called The Impossible Puzzle because life is so damn confusing. You can't figure it out. It's all paradoxes.
Yeah.
There's a sales book I call it Bake Sale. This is like a working title, because I see so many parallels between, baking bread or baking. Mainly is sometimes you do all the work, but then you have to let it sit in the oven. You have to let things sit. And if you interrupt it too quickly, you kind of mess it up.
Yeah. Interesting.
Especially, and I'm like, these would be really cool to do. And, to me, like fleshing it out as more of a prototype and doing a cover as a visual makes it really real. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't do that without AI. And to kind of think through the premise and separate them. However, one problem I've noticed is that it's really easy to kind of, flesh out the ideas and
get the dopamine hit and forget it.
Yeah, like, and it's really interesting. That's really cool. And then, but then I'm like, oh man, there's just too much stuff. They lose stuff. There's so many good ideas. And it's like hard to like start and actually like write. And so it hasn't changed the resistance. So I'm still figuring out, I have to figure out a new writing style and system. So I played with like writing longhand and taking pictures and uploading it to, I played with just doing a bunch of audio and having it kind of transcribe it and organize it. Ultimately, I do know I'll either have to go back and write a lot or edit by hand because most of the time, whether it's Claude 5.5.0, Fable, or ChatGPT, like the writing, AI, like it's all good or really good, but it's not human and it's not that good.
Yeah,
it's very good. Like, there's something that strips out.
Even like Claude is bad. It's like it's formulaic.
It's very
always
formulaic, right?
Yeah.
And so, okay, you can create a big presentation or a marketing report or a book at the click of a button, but no one cares.
Yeah,
so
no one cares.
We're gonna have to learn. There's new types of scarcity signals that we'll have to adapt to.
For sure. Like there's with my book, I specifically like wanted to release it fast. Once I realized models were becoming so good, I was like, man, I don't want to like have people thinking that I used AI to write this. So like, I gotta like, let's
Get it out.
the launch. Yeah, let's get it out quickly because I was like, I don't want people to think about it like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, can I tell you the flip side?
Yeah.
So a lot of these books, I mean, there's like 9 a bunch, right? And it's not overwhelming. This is like, for the most part, fun.
Yeah.
Because they're all back on the shelf and I have different partners. If like the trigger is when I have a human partner as an editor or a business partner or co-author, I kind of pull it off the shelf and I work on it. But otherwise, it just sits back there. I don't think so. It's not distracting. I argue with Claude because Claude's like, you have too many projects. I'm like, shut the fuck up, man. This is how I work. It's a feature, not a bug.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I should, there's that part of me which is, I should like write more, I should get them out. But the other part's like, well, if you wait 3 months, the models will be better. It'll be easier to get this shit done anyway. So, can wait too. It's like you can do it now if you want, but if you wait, it'll be easy. So that's why for people, I feel like if you are worried about AI, you're like, I should be doing it, but you don't really want to, just wait. It'll get easier.
Yeah, but I mean, like writing wise, then it can like, it's not you anymore. Like it's kind of blended, and then it's like,
yeah, no,
like, is it still you, or are you just like, what's your role in it?
First, I only care about what is going to work for the reader. I don't care how much the AI does, how much I do. It's a team. Like with Thiago here, the CEO of HCD, 3Ps of I don't care how much, like we kind of have our different roles, but ultimately it doesn't really matter who does what, as long as the result helps people, right? If it's valuable to them, if they like it.
Yeah.
I don't like AI writing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't read it. If I see AI,
exactly. It's immediately turn off. Like if I'm watching a YouTube video and I notice the script is done, not even the narrator, but like I notice the script is kind of AI. Like
it's like the formulaic.
Instant.
And the models get better. Like who knows? So I think it's really. I'm still trying to figure out how to work in partnership with it and with humans. Because again, for books, usually I need a human. I need AI now and a human. If I don't have a human, again, editor, co-author.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very for me and in my handwriting, in my doing audio, my typing.
Yeah,
I'm still figuring that out, but I don't care as long as I do know the end result. Like, so my current plan is to get some stuff drafted or at least ideas fleshed out, and then a lot of at least manual editing. Because sometimes I'm like, this is pretty good, but it's just I gotta like change a lot of these little like flavors and to add like the spice, like my style.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm figuring it out.
Yeah.
I will figure it out, but I don't have it.
Yeah. And like now coming back to sales, like when you were in Salesforce, like you became famous to like introducing cold calling 2.0, right? What was that at that time, and what is something like that? Like, do you see now cold calling or cold mailing something like 3.0, like, and what would that be?
Okay, wait, so all right, let me start there because well, actually at the time, right, again, what happens over the years is there used to be knocking on doors and direct mail and then there's calling, and then there's email, and then there's LinkedIn. So there's always and then WhatsApp. There's always new channels.
And sales and marketers ruined the channel.
And sales and marketers ruin the channels. And it happens faster and faster, right? Because as we're more connected, information spreads faster.
Yeah.
So again, if you're on the hamster wheel, which is just sending more stuff, like hit the channel, send more stuff, the hamster wheel spins faster, but you're not going anywhere. So this is where to step off, you have to kind of be creative or think different. And that might look like sending something different in the email or in WhatsApp. You can still use the same channel. I'm sure there's a lot of companies and people who successfully use email, all the channels, cold calling, that's popular. They all work, but they may not work for you, for your particular business. And they may not work if you're just like doing the basics. Like, well, I saw online this system and I copied it and I'm just trying to send it. It may not work. So I don't think there's like a cold calling 3.0 because the way I would look at it is if there is something different, it's one example is just using your own, intuition and creativity, just figure out something that, there's something that comes from that part of your brain. Maybe it's the right side where it's just out of nowhere. You can't really control it, but when it works, and it's like some weird idea and you kind of keep playing with it, it can take you really good places. And so here's an example of mine where a few years ago, I was like, it'd be cool. I don't remember where this came from. Like, it's really cool to have like a typewriter. And I've kind of wanted for a while to send out like handwritten letters. And I had a signet ring because I always like doing wax stamp. It's fun to do. And my wife found a typewriter at a charity shop. So for a few months now, I have this big fat typewriter. It's heavy, like World War II era. And, I've been doing some book interviews for a new, it's not a new predictable revenue book. It'd be a whole new book. And I'll talk to someone. And a lot of times I'll send a thank you letter out after, right? I bang, 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 bang on the typewriter. And it's pretty basics, like, hey, thanks, and it's great to meet you. It doesn't really matter. And fold up, send it, wax stamp. Go to the post office, buy some stamp, and send them out. And I think a lot of people, first of all, again, I have fun doing that. I like doing like the physical aspect, and it's different, and I haven't done it for a while. And I don't do a ton. I maybe sent like 20 or 30 so far.
Yeah.
But again, this is to usually it's like CEOs of companies or maybe a venture capitalist or like a head of sales for some company and so on. So yeah, people might think, oh, well, that's not scalable and like you can't replicate that. And where's the machine? It's not the point. The point is I like doing it. It's very different. Like I asked an audience at Meet Rocks, maybe 200 people, has anyone ever received a typewritten letter? I think there's one person different. And again, I'm saying to people I talk to and like, well, but if they're like VPs of sales and CEOs, investors, ultimately like nothing happens faster than right.
Yeah.
So if I set up some sort of automated email thing, I probably get lots of responses because they might recognize name, but I don't want to, and I don't like that. And this is something I like to do, and I don't know exactly where it's going, but I know it's going to be impact, and I'm going to enjoy it, and I want to help other people have better time connecting with people and make. So that's like I'd say my version of cold calling 3.0, but your version might look totally different, kind of like some random idea that may make no sense to other people, look weird, but you're like, this is just really cool. I want to see where this goes.
But do you think like the principle for everybody is simply the principle that always work, which is trying being different? Like, do you think that's the actual point? Because like every channel is going to be crowded. Like AI is going to make them even more crowded because it's easier to write messages, easier to send the messages, it's easier to find the recipient for the messages, it's easier to find if the recipient actual email address is the right one. Like everything gets easier. Since it gets easier, people will do more. If people do more,
it gets harder.
It's getting hard.
See,
it gets harder.
That's the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so there's not a single answer, but I do think there's some elements that are generally going to be true, which is if people, they recognize you or their company's name, like there's some familiarity, they're more likely to open it. If it's relevant, right, or useful, they're more likely to open, and if it's, personal or intriguing, right? So maybe it's a little bit of like a mystery, if it's personal. So there's certain things that people will still kind of open and likely respond.
Yeah.
That'll still be the truth. But, for me, like again, my approach, I'm not telling other people to do it. I think people need to figure out their own, what's going to work. Kind of like food, right? You can look at all the eating systems and eating advice online, and ultimately you only know what's going to work for you by, experimenting and living and seeing what.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. I know we all want simple answers. It's like, I want to fix this. I want an answer.
Yeah.
But those nothing creates a better long-term success than the confidence that, hey, there's problems. And if I can't really fix it easily, then I'm going to figure it out in my own way. And I don't think there's enough of that in the world. I lost track of something. So saying that my version is, I want people, if I'm going to send some sort of note, I'd rather they recognize me first so that it's not old. So I create books at scale. So I create relationships. Like say relationships are one of the keys for the future. Right? You could do a lot. You could be one-to-one. You can do relationships at scale through creating content. I do books and people do LinkedIn. I don't like doing that. So I'd rather kind of know me. And then if I want to reach out, it's less cold.
Yeah, for sure.
Now some people might take, that takes so long.
That's the point.
Yeah. Well, sometimes the longest road is the fastest.
Yeah. And it's something also like it's proof of work, right? Because it's cost signaling. You're you're actually having an effort to be different, to do something that creates value, to be valuable. So of course it will get different results.
Yeah, like you said, the cost signals are going to change when activity gets commoditized, and again, a typewritten letter where the letters are a little bit wonky. Like you can't, if you printed a letter, it's too neat. This typewriter, it's like a little bit funky, so it is real.
Yeah.
Again, but I'm not. It's important to say that I'm not doing that because I saw someone do it. I'm trying to get a result. I'm doing it because I want to do it. I think it's just cool. I like doing it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like to do too many, but to do a certain number where still I enjoy it. And these are important elements. Like it's like kind of the right side of the brain. I feel like IQ is really going to take over maybe a lot of the left side, which is the analysis and the analytics and the structuring and activities. So I think people who are cultivating the right side, which is more the fuzzy stuff, which traditionally in business has been frowned upon, right? Whether it's not feelings or creativity or relationships or intuition. I think that's actually going to be a big advantage, and we're confident in those areas.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because AI will be able to mimic it, but not really not take it away.
Yeah, interesting. And I'm curious, do you have any parting thoughts or like maybe less advice about integrating AI into the sales processes without doing shit?
Yeah. Well, I have a quadrant I presented today for the first time I've been thinking about. And so this quadrant, because a guy I know, there's a guy named Jason Lemkin who has a business called Saster.
I listen to his podcast on 20VC all the time.
He's amazing, yeah. If you don't know him, he has a big, he's like the leading influencer in business-to-business SaaS.
Yeah.
And he's had amazing results with his own agents and getting rid of a lot of the human people in his sales team and using agents. I think he had like 10 or 15 human, and now he's got, 1.5 human and like 20 agents. And he's had amazing success with digital employees. And he writes about that. And I think he's very realistic. He's not trying to paint a magic picture. He's saying this really works, but also here's the new challenges, right? Because it's actually even more work in some ways to manage all these agents and deal with. So I think he's very honest and unbiased. So I appreciate that. However, in the echo chamber of Silicon Valley, again, you get these conversations like, oh, AI and robots will fix everything for everyone, which is not at all.
Yeah.
Or everyone's getting all the sales teams will be digital age, and that's not true. I think so. This quadrant is for now and probably the next few years. This idea that on one side, if you have the simpler the sale versus the more complex the sale.
Yeah.
And up and down would be, do you have high trust where they know you and recognize you, or maybe low trust, right? So if it's Taylor Swift selling concert tickets, to use just a bit of a silly example, but like who Taylor Swift is, and it's just a concert ticket. Or Jason Lemkin, who he is. And he's just selling event ticket or sponsorship. AI agents are amazing. But as soon as you start going out of that quadrant, a little bit more of a complex sale, or there's not as much trust, you're going to have AI agents. You're going to need to have a combination of human and AI. So it might be more basically amplified humans are by far going to be the dominant form of in sales for, I don't know how, for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
And what that also means is that people have to be very particular about how and where do you use AI. AI for now has often been this, again, magical solution which will fix all your problems.
Yeah.
But in reality, and I'm going through this with my writing processes, some places it'll be incredibly helpful. In some places it might actually be a distraction or harmful.
Sure.
And looking through like where in the process or the teammates is it the research, drafting, is it the measurement? If you're building a castle of Lego, which blocks, so which chunks are AI? It's kind of like a little bit here, a little bit there, a big chunk over here, and versus trying to think the whole thing will be AI, which is not the case. So I think that's going to be more challenging than we realize, but incredible opportunities for it.
Yeah, for sure. And do you have, besides maybe Jason, any company that you're watching or seeing that's doing like an amazing job, you think? It doesn't even have to be like, AI in sales or something like that, but like in sales in generally, like this guy's, the model that they have now, it's really different. It's really interesting. It's like maybe something as impressive as I did in Salesforce back in the day. Like, do you see any?
I don't watch it that closely. I am looking for some sort of, because for one of the new books I'm doing, thinking about, I don't have a name, but I feel like the way that team structured is going to change. So, for as long as I know, we have companies that are big functional areas, right? A whole bunch of salespeople, a whole bunch of marketing, a whole bunch of customer success, et cetera, because we needed kind of efficiency of scale.
Yeah.
But now AI is changing the costs and the opportunities between, I think rather than efficiencies of scale, for some companies in some situations, you'll want, speed of learning, and you'll want intimacy with the customer, and you'll want a very different way for people to get measured and tracked, which, it's called like a pod. I had a couple pages about this in the predictable revenue book. I think it's just too early. But now with AI, a pod would be almost like a franchise. Think about like a McDonald's.
Yeah.
Right? McDonald's, you've got, one small unit that is like a cell of the body, represents everything. And I think we can do that now with B2B companies. I don't know any in tech that are doing it. Happened in other companies, like Toyota or in the military, where you have a representative. You might have someone from kind of the SDR function, sales function, partial marketing, customer success, professional services, whatever your representation of the whole customer lifecycle, all in one group, that actually kind of one pod with a leader, and ideally would get measured not on things like lead volume and quota and kind of these operational metrics, which are so easy to game or people just argue over them, like lead credit, but you could measure them on things like maybe revenue growth or cash flow or margin, because they have a whole unit. And so it's easier to measure them on the same measurements that the CEO cares about. I think that would be it should be a lot easier now with AI to do that type. So that's where I'm thinking would be.
Is anyone doing that?
There's people kind of stepping towards that. I talked with the SVP of sales for a company called Ramp, which is a big...
Yeah, I would guess them, because like they're doing so many different things.
Yeah. And I think sometimes what companies have done is they'll combine like a SDR with a salesperson with a customer success person.
Yeah.
Sort of like a half pod. So I think, I've heard of...
What's the missing step to be a complete?
It could be marketing, could be professional services, could be the whole life cycle.
Okay, that's interesting.
And maybe even some product. Because if maybe it's a pod serving financial services, right? And now product, if you're empowered to create, maybe it's Replit, some of these build apps, if you need to customize something or build something for that one area. So, I mean, I haven't seen it. I think this is the direction of the future.
Yeah.
That, again, for fast moving parts of the market or for certain types of companies, it doesn't mean everyone will go this way, but it creates a different version of organizing teams that will work better in certain, rather than just the massive. So like the massive functional teams, I think will work well when there's a lot of stability, but when there's a lot of like change and you need to really, again, stay in very close touch with like the customer and the market, what's going on. I think that this pod approach will work better.
That's interesting, because also there's another way to think about it. That is, if you think about it, AI, it's amplifying everyone, and it lets you do more things. It lets you do things better. It lets you do things with better quality. If you
use it well.
If you use it well, of course.
Or lots of things worse quality if you don't.
Exactly. Like it's a double-edged sword. Like
so if you are an annoying person, you can annoy even more people.
yeah, for sure. But like, what I'm trying to get at is that, for example, if I take a sales rep here, and which like usually he does only calls, right? So the SDR gets him the qualified lead, and he does the calls. But now I'm trying to make them also not wait just for the qualified leads, and I'm talking to them. Okay, you need to be able to also try to create demand. Like now you don't have excuse. Like you have tools, you have power. You should, I'm experimenting with it, right? I don't have results yet, but I'm like, I want you to try like cold mailing. I want you to try LinkedIn. I want you to try to create your own leads too, because like, of course, a known brand here, like people know us, we get tons of lead flow, but like, of course, there are weeks in which we have less, and this specific weeks, I want you to have more agents and to try to find out and to try to get these leads, right? I want you to have more skills.
Could be. I mean, I think people who saying the SDR job will die, like, I don't think that's wrong. That's totally wrong. And I think there'll be more of bigger variety of ways you can set up the sales teams, and people can do jobs, and some people will be able to do that, but a lot of people won't. Because it's a mindset thing, not a tool. It's an attention thing. It's a
exactly, and it's the cost handling that we talked about, like having an SDR that actually talks to people, having the sales rep. Like people need to see this cost handling for the company trying to sell you, like that you actually care about them.
Yeah, that's worth that's worth my attention. It costs them something. There's something about humans where if something was hard, that we give more attention to it.
Yeah, which makes sense, right? Because it's like
it's a signal.
Exactly.
But something you said I think is important, which is, I think at least for a lot of companies, I think it'd be better to build for amplitude versus build for scale.
Which means
scale implies like bigger, faster. Amplitude implies more like leverage and power.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like
your fewer people can make a bigger difference if they have amplitude versus just having more people do more of the same. I mean, they're not, one's not better. I think for companies that are looking to, I just think it's a new opportunity to think a bit different than the scale Silicon Valley. It's like, well, amplitude is part of the people who really want to make a difference in money, or you don't need an army. You can be a one-man army. That's kind of how I think about what I do. Like, I want to be a one-man army. I don't want a lot of employees. I like having partners, so I get amplitude through books. Through content, through partners, different ways.
And you don't have any thought about changing that, right? It's like that's how you like to get things done, like being the...
For now. Like tomorrow, who knows what tomorrow brings. Someday, there's something in me that believes that someday, could be in a year or 30 years, I'll be part of a, fast-growing unicorn type company, like co-founder or something, and I don't know what that means, but right now, I like doing the one-man army stuff. I have enough, kids. I don't suffer from loneliness. I don't suffer from boredom. I like people. I was a really good manager at Salesforce, but for now, I don't want to manage.
Yeah, I was asking you that because there's this the grass is greener, right? The saying. Because of course, it's now we have a bigger startup, 100 and something people, like lots of pressure, a lot to do. Even though we haven't raised VC or nothing, so we don't have that kind of pressure. But it's like internal pressure.
You got salaries,
serving our customers, expectation, and having good products. Such as good as the ones that are being subsidized by the big labs and big techs. So it is lots of things. And when I look at you, I'm like, oh my god, this must be fun. Like you're a one person army.
I am fun. I still need to make, so a lot of these things are not making money yet. There's been I went through 4 or 5 years ago, that midlife career crisis where it's like, oh, I can't deal. I had a different business partner in the States I just didn't get along with, and I was sick of doing the type of work I was doing. I kind of got trapped with him in this business, like lots of sales consulting, client work, and I couldn't really do new, I thought, valuable stuff. And we had 10 kids, I was just exhausted. So this is a few years of, it's like I knew I didn't want to do that, but I knew I need to find, what do I actually like to do that I would still do whether I made money or not. And then once I know that, then I'll figure out how to make. So it's 5 years in. It probably took a year or two to even figure out what do I even like? What activities do I like to do?
Yeah.
Right? It's like, so books, speaking, partnering with people that I like, and this crafting stuff. Crafting I kind of lump as the cards and the coffees and the letters and the physical stuff.
And did you launch any of them? Can I buy the cards, for example?
No, you can't buy cards.
But I want to.
Well, you can ask for some. You can ask Tiago. Once we have some, you can, as a favor. You can get them as a gift.
Okay.
You can't buy them.
Okay. That makes it even more valuable. Because
we'll see where it goes.
Buy.
Yeah. The thing is, I've never had any interest in selling the cards one by one. But I was like, oh, it actually would be cool because I like creating the cards and I like creating the brands. It's fun for me.
Yeah.
If in this with AI and you can do small lot production, 2 packs of cards, 100 packs of cards, or it's a world where we could do like custom stuff for like a single event or a single company or a single prospect, and like, good time. So it's interesting, but it's a weird place now being, because going back, people might look at me or even you, right? Like, oh man, he's CEO of a company, you must have the best life. I want to be like him. It's so glamorous. And, and you're probably thinking like, oh man, being a CEO or whatever your role is like such a pain in my ass. But yeah, in this case, it's taken a few years to go from I have no idea what I want to do to I have some twinkles, I have some like sparks, and then to kind of just slowly, it's like almost like one grain of grass at a time on the fire. Like, okay, now books, and then speaking, and then like some books, and it's like building a sandcastle out of like one grain of sand at a time. So now though I've got stuff, and it's just starting to make the new stuff is starting to make some money. This year. I'm like, I know I went from can I even figure out what I like to do to, okay, I know what I like to do. Can I make money at it? To, okay, I know I'll make more money at it than I ever did with the regular stuff. I just don't know exactly when or how, but I know.
Yeah.
So I am having a good time. It's not easy, but it's been also years, years building on decades of stuff. So it's, I don't know, it's no shortcut.
For sure.
So, enjoy your ride as, having 100 mouths to feed and hopefully more. And then, at some point, like you should, it's great. It's one thing. It's a lot of the things that are like really hard are the most filling, like being a parent, being an entrepreneur. So one more thing is like, as humans, we have this weird thing. We want things to be easy. However, when they are easy, we don't appreciate them. They don't stick because
I don't know who said that, but I really love that phrase. Like, effort is the meaning of life.
Yeah. I mean, there's something in that.
There is for sure. Like, right, trying, right?
Yeah, and like you're kind of like struggling a bit, or but it's part of it, because I think all the stuff that you learn, the things that you often remember, the people you had good relationships with often came from, there was like struggle, there was
for sure,
there's like things you dealt with. With my kids, I've seen when they've had hard times or we've gone through difficult stuff together, you come out, and as long as you didn't kind of blame each other, or at least as a parent, you want to still support them, but it's like ends up being good memories. And however, I think the other half is there's a lot of part of life that is like could be joy that doesn't require effort, that we tend to ignore. The school systems in most countries and work tends to squeeze out that part of life, which is true. Like what's fun, and just because it's fun, what I like to do, just because I like to do it. So effort and that kind of inner joy, whatever you were in, things are interesting. Joy. The word joy has a lot of meanings to lots of people, but it could be joy, could be happiness, could be just something you're interested in, something you like to do, want to do. Yeah. And along with.
And do you have like a favorite quote or a favorite like mental model that you think about when thinking about that, like life in general, like?
Yeah. And the one thing I think, because again, 10 kids, I've made a lot of money as an author and consultant. I didn't make much money at Salesforce.com because I got, it's early, but not early enough. I made enough to pay off like some divorce debt first marriage.
You didn't have like stock?
A little bit, but very little. Because I started at the bottom of the ladder.
Okay.
But I made a lot of money as an author. But spent all of it family because there's so many kids and so many expenses.
Yeah.
And there's also so many problems and it's so complicated, and it's like a 15-sided Rubik's Cube, constantly like life, like calendars and money and people and moods. And, if we go on a trip together, right, think about trying to pay for 12 airplane seats and two rental cars and 3 hotel rooms plus anyway.
Keep going. Was interesting.
No, but there's just constant challenges, constant problems, constant fires to fight.
Yeah.
In fact, when people ask me how I'm doing or how things are, I'm like, oh yeah, there's just regular fires. There's not like the big fires, just like the regular. They're constant. But like the phrase, everything's always working out for me. Everything's always working. How blessed I am. Even when there's problems, like that practice of okay, what am I going to get? Or what am I learning? Or I don't know what it is, but I will learn something. 'Cause I've seen enough over the years, and I've been married 15 years. That so many of the problems or like the troubles I thought were like a big deal, and they were at the time, but they pushed me towards new directions that maybe we needed to go. So what they say is you don't get what you want, you get what you need. Sort of trust in, again, I believe 100% that there's a higher power, because there's too many crazy things that have happened for that not true. And so the phrase was, life's always working out.
I like it.
Or everything's always working.
Yeah.
Even when it doesn't feel like it. And I've had a business, divorce, bankrupt business, other stuff.
Yeah.
Like everybody.
Interesting. It's awesome, man. Like this was supposed to be like just a AI thing, but I thought it was really interesting because we got to talk about a bunch of different things and even end up with a nice phrase or meta model that makes sense.
You're gonna, in life, you have some good stuff, but you're gonna also have to eat a lot of shit. So you might as well learn how to make use of it.
Yeah. How to digest the shit.
versus complain about it or be a victim.
Yeah. For sure.
Oh my God, my life is so hard. I mean, it might be. A lot of people's lives are hard.
Yeah, and talking about it, like just being hard won't make it easier. Like that's awesome, man. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Obrigado.